Hello to everyone. This is Viewpoint on Nोyan Տապան TV, and I am Benyamin Poghosyan. This time we will discuss the current phase in Armenia-Russia relations, as well Russia's perspectives on the settlement of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and we will discuss these issues in the context of the visit of Foreign Minister of Armenia, Ararat Mirzoyan, to Moscow this Monday, September 5, as well as a visit by Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan to Vladivostok and his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So, first of all, current phase of Russia-Armenia relations. We may say that this phase is marked by some controversies and contradictions. From one hand, Armenian government publicly emphasizes the significance of strategic alliance with Russia for Armenia, and Armenian governments and political leaders, including Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, Secretary of Security Council, they always emphasize the need to deepen Armenia-Russia strategic relations. Even more, after the 2020 Karabakh war and the defeat of Armenia, many representatives of Armenian government and the government itself started to ask Russia to provide support for Armenia. And now we see more Russian troops in the territory of Armenia than before. Of course, this is really interesting to see that currently more Russian troops are deployed in Armenia, and especially in the regions bordering Azerbaijan. Syunik region, Ararat region, and also we see some efforts to create also Russian military posts in Tavush region along with border with Azerbaijan. So, from one hand, we see public statements about significance of Russia-Armenia strategic alliance, and also we see some actions to bring more Russian troops into Armenia. And we all know that Russian influence, at least in the post-Soviet space, mostly based on the military presence. However, we also hear some statements and hints from Armenia's leaders that Armenia is not very happy with Russia or with Russian policy towards the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. For example, when Armenian Prime Minister made a special statement on the 31st anniversary of Armenia's independence, he said that unfortunately, sometimes your allies are also allies with your enemies. And this was thinly veiled a hint towards Russia. And also, often, Armenian officials criticize Russian peacekeepers deployed in Nagorno-Karabakh, stating that they are not implementing their duties, that Armenian government had some concerns, and even calling for some investigations against Russian peacekeepers and etc. So we may here see that from one point Armenian government supports Armenia-Russia strategic alliance, but also sometimes with statements which are not in line with Russia's strategic interests. In this context, let's see what happened this week. First of all, Armenian Minister of Foreign Affairs Ararat Mirzoyan met with Russian counterpart. Very few public statements, but we may assume that the Armenia-Azerbaijan relations and the possible signature of Armenia-Azerbaijan peace treaty were discussed, especially given the August 31 meeting in Brussels between Pashinyan Aliyev and the President of the European Council Charles Michel. And after the statement, decision was made that foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan will soon start to work on text of the peace treaty. So let's understand what is Russian position regarding this peace treaty. Officially, Russia supports the signature of peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Yesterday, the Russian special representative on Armenia-Azerbaijan relations were in Baku, Mr. Khovayev, discussing the parameters of peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Soon, Mr. Khovayev will be in Armenia. So, if Russia supports the peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan, let's understand what this treaty should envisage, which will be in line with Russian interests. As far as we can understand, a Russian strategic interest is to keep Russian peacekeepers in Nagorno-Karabakh at least beyond November 2025. So, if we have a peace treaty signed between Armenia and Azerbaijan without any mentions about Nagorno-Karabakh, this definitely will allow Azerbaijan to declare that conflict is over, that Armenia also accepts Azerbaijani position that there is no Nagorno-Karabakh as a territorial administrative unit. So there is no conflict, but if there is no conflict, then Azerbaijan and also the West, the European Union, the United States may require from Russia to withdraw its peacekeepers from Nagorno-Karabakh after November 2025, stating that, look, there is no conflict, so there is no need to keep Russian troops there. So In this case, the peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which has zero mention about Nagorno-Karabakh, should not be in line with Russia's strategic interests, only if we do not have some mutual and not public understanding between Russia and Azerbaijan that even if Armenia agrees to sign peace treaty with Azerbaijan with zero mention on Nagorno-Karabakh, and de facto Armenia agrees that there is no Nagorno-Karabakh as a territorial administrative unit, which means that Armenia even is ready not to require some autonomy for Nagorno-Karabakh within Azerbaijan. Regardless of all these developments, Azerbaijan will not demand the withdrawal of Russian peacekeepers from Nagorno-Karabakh after November 2025. So if there is such a public agreement between Russia and Azerbaijan, then theoretically Russia may push forward for the peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which has zero mention about Nagorno-Karabakh. Otherwise, Russia should be interested to have at least some mention of Nagorno-Karabakh, claiming that despite the fact that Armenia and Azerbaijan signs a peace agreement and they recognize mutual territorial integrity and etc., but the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict is still there. But from Azerbaijani point of view, this will be unacceptable, and I have great doubts that Azerbaijan will agree to sign such an agreement. So probably we have two scenarios here. Either Russia publicly speaking about supporting Armenia-Azerbaijan peace treaty and publicly making efforts not to allow this to happen, or Russia and Azerbaijan have some public or clandestine agreement that after the signature of this agreement and after fixing from Azerbaijani point of view that there is no Nagorno-Karabakh anymore, Azerbaijan will not demand the withdrawal of Russian peacekeepers. Regarding Prime Minister's visit to Vladivostok and meeting with Russian President, again, Prime Minister had a speech in Economic Forum. It was really interesting speech when again he somehow praised Russia-Armenia strategic alliance, spoke about the importance of Russian support, said that Russia supported Armenia economically, stated that Armenia hopes to normalize its relation with Turkey through the hope of Russia. But simultaneously, our Prime Minister Pashinyan hinted that, for example, in 2020, when there was a war in Nagorno-Karabakh, the attention of the world was focused on COVID. And Armenia now has some fears that maybe when attention of world is focused on Ukraine, again situation can be destabilized in the South Caucasus. So this was a hint that Armenian government hoped to see more Russian engagement in 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war and hoped that Russia will be more active to prevent direct military involvement of Turkey into the war. Regarding the meeting between Pashinyan and Putin, of course, no public details are available besides very few statements made by both leaders. But again, we may argue that the two key topics were the restoration of communications and also the future peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan. As we discussed the potential parameters of peace treaty, let's focus our attention on restoration of communications. As far as we can understand, Azerbaijani position is clear. They want so-called corridor, or at least they argue that if there will be no so-called corridor in Syunik connecting Azerbaijan with Nakhichevan, there should be no corridor in Lachin connecting Armenia with Nagorno-Karabakh. Armenian government publicly rejects this option, telling that Syunik road or routes via Syunik has nothing to do with Lachin corridor, and these two roads or two lines of communications cannot be perceived as a single one or cannot be perceived as an equal one. However, we also know that currently Lachin corridor is controlled by Russia, and most probably Russia will be happy also to control the roads and routes which will connect Azerbaijan with Nakhichevan via Syunik, and also these routes theoretically can connect Russia with Turkey via Azerbaijan, Syunik, Nakhichevan, and definitely Russia will be happy to have control over these roads. So my understanding is that during the meeting between leaders, the parameters of these future roads or routes connecting Azerbaijan with Nakhichevan via Syunik were discussed, and potentially maybe Russia could offer some options which will allow Azerbaijan to state that okay, this is a really corridor, but simultaneously it will allow Armenia to say that no, this is not corridor, we rejected the demand of corridor, this is simply routes, highways and railways. Most probably this can be done if the control will be done by Russian border guards, maybe on behalf of Armenia. In any case, let's wait for future developments, but again, the current phase of Armenian-Russia relations is a contradictory one. We see different actions and different statements. But at the end of the day, one thing is clear, that Russia is interested to continue its military presence in Nagorno-Karabakh, and Russia will do everything to be a dominant power in the South Caucasus in the foreseeable future. Thank you, and we will meet soon.